Hello and welcome to the banks of the River Severn. It's just gone 5:30 in the morning, the sun is just coming up. Behind me is the old Severn Bridge. I'm about to start the Offas Dyke path, which actually begins about 2 miles upstream from here. But I wanted to personally start here because over there is where I started my first solo hike. So I'm standing on the slipway, which was the northern terminus of the ferry before they built the bridge. And over there in the distance is a place called Orst, which is the southern terminus. And my first solo hike started there and ended in failure about a day and a half later up there somewhere. The aim for that first hike had been to walk 50 miles. This time around it's more like 180, which is way further than I've ever hiked before. So I guess we better get on with it. It's a couple of miles to the official start point of the Offas Dyke path, so we'll get that done and take it from there. Now we've made it up onto a cliff overlooking the Severn, and this rather unassuming lump of concrete is the official start point for the Offas Dyke path. So we're heading from here. From this point it's 177 miles to the north coast of Wales, a place called Bristol Channel. It's still very early in the morning, so we'll put in a few miles, stop for breakfast, and I'll tell you all about King Offa and his dyke. Two mighty rivers in this area, the River Severn and the River Wye, and they come together just below where we started this morning and then form the Bristol Channel. So we walked up the River Severn for a couple of miles, now we're cutting inland and we'll be joining the River Wye and walking up the Wye Valley for most of the rest of the day. The aim today is to get to Monmouth. This is 20 miles, so it's quite ambitious for the first day, but I managed that on my last hike on the 2 Moors Way. I managed, well, just over 20 miles I think it was. So I know it's doable. First though, I need to drop some layers because I'm finally warming up. That feels much better. Right then, I'm in proper hiker mode now. So we're on the outskirts of Chepstow, which in the olden days was an enormously important border town. And we'll be following the border all the way up. That's what Offas Dyke demarcates, or used to. Chepstow Castle, which I think is the oldest stone castle in the UK. So we're going to walk up the Wye Valley today, and it's very, very nice. And what a lovely day for it. I hope you can hear all the bird song, it's really rather delightful. I must say I feel much better after some refreshments. I really should have stopped for breakfast for like an hour earlier than I did, but hey-oh. So we're walking along a ridge between the Severn on that side and the Wye on this side, and the Severn is in a wide vale. The Wye is much more like a gorge at this point, which we'll be actually walking along fairly soon. So we're going to cut into some woods, see an actual part of the actual dyke, have a look at the Devil's Pulpit, and then we should be going along the Wye Valley Gorge. And it'd be really nice to get away from this road. I don't think it's obvious on camera, but I'm actually standing on Offas Dyke right now. So I'm on the top of it, and then down there is the ditch. The dike is simply a ditch and then a bank. So you dig a ditch and then you make a bank with everything you dig out of the ditch. Something I was very familiar with from my youth, from my days as a New Age traveller. When we get evicted from a site, that's usually what the council would do to stop us getting back in there, would be to ditch all the way around it and bank it up. Stop vehicle access back onto whatever bit of wasteland it was. This section is in a lovely bit of woodland of ancient yew trees and beech trees. I'm going to try and find a section of the dike where you can see the topography a bit more obviously than at the moment. It's all rather overgrown. So King Offa was King of Mercia, which you can think of as the middle kingdom of what became England. Of course, this predates England. This was the late 700s. He was king, and he built this earthwork. Well, you would think to keep the Welsh out, because it's along the border of what was Mercia and what is still Wales. But it doesn't all make sense as a defensive structure. It seems nowadays the consensus is it was probably a show of force, you know, a demonstration of organisational ability as much as anything else. Being able to construct such an earthwork in those times meant getting hold of an awful lot of people and getting them to do something consistently for a long time. That in itself makes a statement. But regardless of the motive behind it, it was a massive undertaking, and it runs for about 80 miles, I think, all in. Of course, the walk that we're doing runs the entire length of Wales. As it's still day one, that sounds rather daunting when I say it out loud. Anyway, so you might be able to get a bit more of a feel of it here. So there's the ditch, here's the bank, and then it disappears way down there towards the river. Beautiful woodland, but as my dad pointed out to me when he was talking about this section of it before I left for this walk, the yew trees are getting shaded out by the beech trees, which is a real shame because yew trees are rather special. I've got a deep-seated fondness for yew trees. They're the oldest planted plants in the country, going back thousands of years. Yew trees were obviously very important to some people a long, long time ago. And that's why you have yew trees in churchyards that predate the churches that they're next to by thousands of years. So one day I'll do a tour of yew trees, I think. But let's do this adventure first, eh? So it's actually becoming less distinct as we go. I can still see a ditch. We're on the bank and then falling away way down the hill. I imagine King Offa must have been a personally very charismatic figure. I mean, can you imagine saying to your... It's a relatively small kingdom, but saying to your subjects, right, we're going to build a 80-mile long ditch and then pile everything up into a big heap on the other side. Just to show the Welsh who's boss. So far it's given me the impression of like Celtic hill forts, where you have to use an awful lot of imagination to try and picture how they would have been. They would have been incredibly impressive in their time, but now there's not much, just some undulations in the ground. Anyway, I'm sure over the course of the walk we'll find plenty more remnants of the dike, be able to build up a better picture of what it would have looked like back in its glory days. Just popped out of the woods, and over there in the far distance it's the Severn Bridge where we started this morning. I feel like I've come a distance now. Right, now we're headed back up onto the dike. There's a bit more info. So it would have been enormously wide. So 27 metres wide and 8 meters high. And there's a picture of King Offa. That's an ancient picture, but if you look there, that's 1380, so that picture is 600 years after he lived. So I think that's very much just an artist's impression of King Offa. See here, this pinnacle of rock? That is the Devil's Pulpit. And in the distance there is Tintern Abbey. And this place is so named because legend has it that the devil himself stood on that pulpit, on that rock, and preached to the monks at the abbey to turn them away from Christ. And then we've got the village of Tintern there, and the River Wye down in the bottom of the valley. Here's a nice view of the Dyke. So that's the Mercian side, with the ditch right down there, and then we're up on top of the bank here and then down towards the river. Hello. Here we go. There we go. There we go, the full works. Very impressive. How unexpected. Right, we're, as you can see, going down. I was waiting for it to happen and it still made me jump. Bloody peacocks. So, as I was saying, we're going down a steep hill. We're not far from Redbrook, and Redbrook in turn is not far from Monmouth. Now I think we're looking across and across to here. So Redbrook would be right down in the bottom of this valley, and then there's a sharp uppy bit there, and then it's, oh yeah, up into the hills. We should top out fairly soon, I'm sure. I guess all that climbing elevation was worth it. Right, we are going down. Getting to and then through Monmouth was my goal for the day, and we've pretty much achieved that. And it's about 5:30. So there's a few hours of daylight left, might as well keep walking. Wobbly wobbly bridge. Oh, it is a lot. My feet are a bit hurty. Not blister hurty, just a bit sore from walking. But then I've worked it out and I've done over 25 miles today, which is that's amazing. My previous best was on the Two Moors hike, and I did 23 and a bit one day. So I'm quite chuffed with that. I walked on until about 8 o'clock and then cut into the woods and just wandered around aimlessly for a bit. Got slightly irritated with thinking I was going around in circles. and follow the path that turned into this track. It's obviously a really wide track, it's not been used for a long time, but it's made a little glade in the woods. The woods here are just too open to shade out the undergrowth, so there's a really thick layer of undergrowth through most of them, except for the paths that cut through. And obviously don't really want to camp on an actual path. You see I've deployed the chair, and I'm very much appreciating the comfort of it. I'm going to work on my hydration with some apple juice, and I'm going to eat some chocolate peanuts. Sun's gone down and it immediately got cold, so I've got my nighttime clothes on. Let's pitch the shelter. Right, that's the shelter up, bed set up. I'm just going to make sure everything's charging for the night, and then I'll turn in. What a good day. Fantastic start. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Good night. Good morning, welcome to day 2. It's only just gone 5:30 in the morning. It's ludicrously early. But I shall pack up in a moment, do a couple of miles, have breakfast, usual stuff. Birds are in full flow, as you can hear. I go out my coat for a couple of miles, well, till breakfast, and let my shirt air out a bit. The signage on this section is exceptional. With these yellow caps on top, so you can see the signs from a distance. Know you're on the right track. So from this one I can follow, and I can actually see the next one. I've just been sat here drinking my coffee and enjoying the sunshine, but also reading the guidebook and seeing what's coming up today. So the next destination is the village of Pandy, and from Monmouth to Pandy is 17 miles, and I think we've probably done 3 of those miles already. So about a mile out of Monmouth to camp, and then we've done 2 miles to get here. So that's a fairly easy day to get to Pandy, but then it gets interesting. You see the darker area, that's the Black Mountains. So by the end of the day, we'll be heading up the Black Mountains, and if I show you on this chart here, you can see that the Black Mountains, so this is the elevation from sea level. So Monmouth is right down there, obviously it's on the river, and it's the biggest elevation of the entire trip we're about to embark on, well, by the end of today. From what I've been reading, getting to the village of Pandy and up onto the Black Mountains, the journey there is going to be fairly uneventful. There is a castle we can look at, but other than that it's just going to be farmland, kind of like what we're on right now. Where we are right now, in fact, was the site of an abbey until the Welsh burnt it to the ground. So sometime in the 1200s. So this abbey was destroyed before the dissolution of the monasteries. I haven't seen any actual sign of any ruins or anything, but I'm pleasantly surprised how good I feel this morning. My shoulders are sore, but my feet are fine, which is fantastic. And overall, I haven't completely knackered myself by doing so many miles yesterday, which again is fantastic. I have been doing a lot of training, a lot of rucking it's called, sticking training weights in a rucksack and going for a long walk, 10 miles or so. Also, here's my other secret to success when it comes to hiking. I've lost weight in myself, not the pack. So by the end of the winter I was 100 kilos and I managed to lose 8 of those kilos before setting off. So I think that helps an awful lot. It's a proper Nissan hut, that is. The church is open, you're welcome to come inside and have a look around. There's water and power to charge your phone, and a toilet. Help yourself to tea, coffee and squash. I only had breakfast an hour ago, so that would seem a tad indulgent. But I can fill up with water, that would be most handy. This was something I came across in Shetland, was opening up the little churches and making them more of a community space. I suppose they were always a community space, but a modern secular community space. Well, you know what I mean. How lovely. Just a lovely gesture when you're, you know, slogging along on a hike like this, to find a place like that. The Black Mountains, our destination for the end of the day. Just a blacksmith's note, I've never seen a railing like this before, with repeating circles. It's a contemporary railing, it's all welded construction, found mild steel, but still interesting. There it is. It's rather cute. This is called White Castle because it was originally white. It was covered in plaster. It's something much like Offas Dyke itself, where you've got to do a lot of work with the imagination to try and picture it in its former glory. Obviously, this is much younger than the Dyke. This was built in the 1200s, and then by the end of the 1200s, left to decay. It was never actually needed for its intended purpose. Never saw any action at all. Then again, a castle is partly simply a deterrent, and you can say if something intended as a deterrent doesn't see action, it's done its job. And that was White Castle. Very nice little picnic spot. I'm feeling much replenished after lunch. So now we'll crack on to the village of Pandy and then up into the Black Mountains. Who's it there? Spotted a Land Rover. Hello mate, you let me through. Back. You go back, let me through. Yeah, come on in mate, come on in, come on. Good boy. Well done, thank you very much. Just coming into the village of Pandy, that's it there, and it's on a horribly busy main road, so we'll just cross straight over the road and carry on. I was expecting to get to Pandy around about 2 o'clock, it's just gone 2:30, so that's not bad. It's a main road, then a main line. Up and up and up. Oh. Well, I'm going to need a cup of tea soon, that's for sure. Found a sheltered spot, hiding behind an ash tree. Got the kettle on. So the plan was to stop at 5 o'clock for food, if possible, and it didn't look possible because walking along that ridge. But suddenly I'm in a almost sheltered spot, well, compared to what it's been like, and it's 20 past 5. So the ridge goes round there, and then I'll be back in the wind for a few miles. So I'm going to chuck down some food and then tackle it. Couscous deluxe. So we're going to be coming up here, and in case of bad weather there's this route, an alternative route, but the bad weather is going to be coming in this way, so that doesn't help at all. So I'm just going to, it looks like I might just have to walk the ridge. I'm done for the day. That's it. No more walking. I've done just over 21 miles, which is fine. I'm happy with that. I'd have been happy with 20. I've gone for a configuration very similar to yesterday, but somewhat lower profile. So it's that pole there is lower down, and I stuck in an extra pole there just to bring that end up a bit. But it's all angled to protect from the incoming rain. It's going to come from the west. So currently the wind is coming from the northwest over there, but I've set up the whole tarp to protect from the west, which is where the sun is going down. I could have carried on for another hour. I think I had that in me, but the ridge we're walking along, that ridge, which has opened up here, but it gets more and more more ridge-like the further you go. So it goes up. We've got to ascend a fair way yet before going down towards Hay on Way, which is our destination for lunchtime, I reckon, tomorrow. That's my goal. But yes, there's a fair ascent to do yet. So looking at the map, there was nowhere flat onwards for miles. So here we are. It was another good day in the end. I got a bit despondent, I must admit, at just the unending, undulating farmland. It's not my favourite terrain to walk over. It's just a bit samey, and it goes like that. But we started strong, we ended strong. So I'm happy with that. Fantastic progress, really. So yes, 2 solid days so far of walking, very good. I was going to sit in my chair and read for a bit, but the temperature has plummeted. I'm going to have to get into bed. And that's with wearing all this gear. Oh, it's going to be a cold one tonight. Alright, I'll see you in the morning. In the rain. Good night. It's been a bit of a change of plan, well, a bit of a change of weather. So the rain was due in at 4 AM, it's not even 1 AM yet, and the winds have really picked up. Main pole here I've had to lower right down, so it's very snug in here now. the other pole I've knocked out altogether, and then I've pinned it all round. Yeah, so far so good. Let's hope it stays that way. 4 AM. The wind has not relented in the slightest. 5 o'clock. What a night. Amazingly, I have slept a bit. And amazingly, the tarp's held up. This is the first spot of shelter I've found in hours. Nearly 7.5 miles before breakfast. Ugh. I feel better for having coffee and a nibble. Would like to stay a bit longer, but it's still rainy and still quite windy. And of course, for hay and whey. Massive breakfast roll. What else do I have? Shortbread, chocolate and caramel, 2 pots of tea. Charged everything up, ready to roll. So the mission now is to find our way down to the river, and then we walk along that for a bit before heading inland. That's it, I am wide done. I possibly had too much tea and cake and bacon and sausages and so on and so forth. I feel quite sluggish now, but I'm sure I'll get back into the swing of it. So our next destination is a little village called Newchurch, and it's just a place to aim for. Hopefully we'll get there by dinner time. We walk along by the River Wye for a bit, and then we veer inland in towards the interior of Wales for a tad. What a contrast. I think it's only a few hours ago we were slogging across a mountain in howling wind and pouring rain. We've come over the ridge. That's the landscape ahead of us. So I guess we're looking into Shropshire. And over there, that's where we came from. It still seems mad that I camped on top of that ridge in the weather that I did. Newchurch. Lovely little church. I got chatting to the lady who was cleaning the interior. Very nice, very helpful. I had 2 cups of tea and biscuits, and I'm ready to head off again. Just gone 5. So replenished. I feel like walking for an hour and then having dinner. I left that little church and I've walked about a mile. I'm up on some common land up above the village and it's very barren. There's just some gorse bushes are the only windbreaks. And it was behind one of those gorse bushes. I was stopping and thinking, shall I have dinner here? And then I saw massive black clouds coming our way. So I deployed the tarp just in time. And I've just checked the Met Office app. And there's loads more rain on the way. So that's where the trail goes next. There's no cover, no windbreaks, no nothing up there. It's completely barren and exposed to the weather. So this is it. This is where I'm going to stay tonight. But a good day's progress regardless. It's an early finish, but then it was a very early start. Very early. According to the sat nav, you can see there, I've just about managed to clock over 20 miles today. So I'm happy with that. That was just by virtue of getting up so very, very early and fast trekking across the mountain to get off of that. So another 20 miles in the bag. That's great. Right, what I'm going to do now is just have some dinner and a very early night. I'll see you all in the morning. Cheerio. Good morning, welcome to day 4. It's just gone 5:30. I'm thinking about getting up. It rained a lot. It rained a lot in the night. But thankfully at least the wind died down. But yes, it's a cold, damp morning. It's about 3 degrees. It's unseasonable for the middle of May. It's not what you expect. It rained so long and so hard that it's actually wetted through the tarp, and then these droplets collect and they drip on me. Under the tarp, this is a bivvy bag, so my sleeping bag is inside a bivvy bag, so I'm at least warm and dry. It was a good choice of pitch and it did keep most of the weather off of me, and mostly the tarp has been doing its job. Good choice of colour. I'm glad I went with that in the end. Right, the plan is to push on into Kington, then out of Kington onto Knighton, which is 14 miles. This is Kington. Not that impressed. I ended up getting a Morrison's meal deal. I ended up getting a Morrison's meal deal from the most unfriendly shop I've ever been in, I think. The lady I met in Newchurch, who was cleaning the church, said there wasn't much going on here. And she was right. Hello. So I didn't even notice until we got right up to it, but we're back on the dike. You see there a ditch? There's the mound. There it is. It's only a shadow of what it once was though, if you think that this was 8 meters tall at one point. I'm a bit under 2. It's only up to, yeah, 1 and a bit I'd say at the moment. The Black Mountains are in the distance over there, so there's no trace of the dike between here and there at all. Presumably just farmed into oblivion, which is fair enough. Only a shower, thankfully. You got to catch them at just the right moment with the bluebells before the bracken grows up and swamps them all. They're certainly doing well here. Tea and cake. Very nice. Tea and cake and a bluebell wood. Yeah, not bad at all. We're out of the woods and straight into a north wind. Brutal. Path goes that way. We're going this way. That's where I want to go. It's a lovely little church in its own right, but out front is something rather special. Earlier in the walk, when we were going through woodlands in the Wye Valley, walk along the top of the dike, there was loads of yew trees, and I was talking then about yew trees and how special I think they are as the oldest planted trees in the country by a long, long way. Then when I was having a tea break, I just so happened to read in the guidebook that this church has a 5,000-year-old yew tree out front. Now think about that for a moment. How old is this church? I mean, it looks old. But what's the oldest church in this country? 1,000? 1,200 years old? Christianity itself can't, by definition, can't be more than 2,000 years old. Yet this tree has been here for thousands of years before the church, or before the even existence of churches of Christianity. Ancient yews tend to die out in the middle. They carry on living around the edges. So it looks like it's split into several trees, but it's not. That's still the original tree. As you can see there, this is the ring around it. There in the middle, that would have been all tree at one point. So how amazing is that? That tree was planted here by somebody who thought this was a special spot. We are on the Welsh border. I think we're just inside Wales at this point, but in the middle of nowhere. But this spot was special enough that somebody planted a yew tree, and then thousands of years later this spot was still special enough that somebody put a church here. Now it's in a tiny hamlet of literally a handful of houses, but this tree has been through so much. So having mentioned previously that I've been thinking about doing a tour and going and looking at yew trees, old yew trees, I just couldn't walk past this one. What a special thing. The dike that we've been walking along, it's such an incredible achievement of King Offa 1,200 years ago. It's 1,200 years old, and it's it's mostly knackered. This is alive, and it's 5,000 years old. Planted by someone that we will never know what their motivation was to plant a yew tree in this spot. But it was obviously a special spot, and then centuries later, thousands of years later, it's still special enough to come and Plonker Church here. A lovely little church, but a young thing compared to that. Right, we better get back to the walk. We've got to go up there next. I'm glad I did that though. I'm glad I made this little detour. Wow. 5,000 years old. That was a worthwhile detour. That really was. Isn't that pretty? Fully refreshed. Splendid. Once again, the Offas Dyke path is following the actual dike. That's what this bank is here. It just doesn't exactly leap out at you, but there it is. And we're going up that hill, up onto some access land, some common land, and then we follow the dike up and round up there. So now we need a place for dinner. Dinner spot right here. Couscous deluxe again. Pack of couscous, olives and feta. Some meaty goodness. Pepperoni. And seasonings, mostly oregano. Pepper. Lots of pepper. Cheese. Oh yeah. Superb. Hot chocolate pudding. I remember every time now, mix the paste and top it up. It's a perfect hiker meal, I reckon. Another very pleasant rest stop. One job left of the day, and that's find somewhere to camp. Can you see that? Just clicked over into 20 miles. I mean, it does, obviously it records all the detours and the wandering about as well. I did do a couple of laps of Kington looking for a shop. But anyway, and we did do that detour to the church to see that tree. So those weren't trail miles, but they're my miles, so I'm going to count them anyway. Anyway, another 20-mile day, that's good. What I love about our yew tree is that was a special spot that somebody planted a yew tree in 5,000 years ago, or a yew tree grew in that spot and it became special because there was a yew tree there, and then thousands of years later it was still special enough to plonk a church there as well. But I love things like that where the original motivations are just lost to time. So the yew tree, probably the biggest highlight of the day. closely followed by by the river. Oh, just dipping my feet in that cold water was lovely, absolutely lovely. I barely had time to get the shelter up. Just chilling out at the end of a long day. And this comes in. I think it's just one final cloud. It'll be clear then. And cold. So yeah, if it's not raining, it's going to be cold. 3 degrees, they say. In fairness, the weather has been my only complaint. I've enjoyed everything else. Even the weather, I'm coping. Good morning, welcome to day 5. I had a line this morning until 20 past 6. Very heavy dew on the ground, everything's damp, including me. But the shelter held up really well through all that rain, especially considering the speed at which I pitched it. We're about 3 miles from Knighton, so the plan is to just pack up and head that way and probably have morning coffee in a cafe. Let's go. Mad Hatter Cafe, highly recommended. That was the Mad Hatter's Cafe, fantastic. Really friendly, excellent breakfast. Had 2 coffees, I charged up as much as I could. Warmed up, I feel refreshed, ready to roll. My impressions of Knighton are much more favourable than my impressions of Kington, interestingly. Maybe it's just because I had such a nice breakfast. There seems to be a lot more going on here. It's a more vibrant place. You know, just my impression. I've got 2 days worth of food in the pack. We're now heading out of town. Finally, it's been a slow start to the day. So not yet halfway. So we're just outside the visitor centre on the edge of Knighton. I would pop in for tea and cake, had I not, but I'm already completely stuffed. There is a good map though. So we can see where, so we started not even here, so this is Sedbury, we started down here at the bridge, up to there, we're now here at Knighton. So at some point today, we cross the halfway point, which is about here, I reckon. Not mountains today, but hills, the Shropshire Hills. It's just up and down all day. So according to the Met Office, we've just had the last shower of the day. So 2 things I can report. 1, I've taken my coat off for the first time in days. 2, I've been able to deploy the solar panel. The moment the sun comes out, the wind drops down. It's a jolly adventure again. So the guidebook said about it being tough. I think this is what they meant. It's not mountains, but the ascents are... I'm very glad now I rested in town before tackling this bit. We certainly gained some elevation from the town in a very short space of time and distance. Well, short distance. It took me a while. Now we're going up a bit more. So I just met a nice chap who was walking his dog, who pointed out to me that it's unusually clear today. And right in the distance there, you see the furthest away ridge of mountain. That's the Black Mountain that I camped on, above Hay. On the end of it, on the right hand side, that's Hay Bluff, where I came down into Hay on Wye. If I zoom out, you'll see just how far away that is. Quite some walk. There's an acorn, there's an arrow. The trail is 50 years old. I think some of the signposts are as well. I mean, look at that lichen. Oh, you can just make out the dike, so we are following it. Lost my words for a moment. I think we're heading to that trig point. That one. Let's get off this hill and have some lunch. Nearly 100 miles and still no blisters, but this foot's getting a little bit delicate, so I just put some preemptive tape on there. It's a bit of a hot spot there. Hopefully that'll help. I had to put my coat back on just because of the wind chill, really. I know we're going to, well, we're going up again. It's bound to get blowy. This might be one of the best examples yet of the actual shape of the dike as intended. So there's a huge ditch down there on the Welsh side, and then come up here, so there's a massive embankment which still exists. And of course it all looks very pretty, covered in bluebells. But yeah, see how, and then shallow on the English side, well, Mercian side. Well, the coat didn't last long. The moment the sun came out, it's absolutely sweltering. I'm certainly not complaining though. More gentle inclines ahead by the looks of it. We're still next to the dike, but it's hard to make out because of all the trees. Currently, right now, feeling the best I have in a long time. Maybe it's the fact that my feet are suddenly warm and dry, or it's not currently raining. Whatever it is, I'm very grateful for it. Yeah. Red kite. So we can see the dike coming down along there. Up to there. So obviously we're walking along the road, but there's the dike over there. Yeah, there you go. My impressions of Shropshire so far are, and I've not really spent much time here before, but it's quite empty. It looks a lot like Somerset, where I'm from, but there's hardly anything here. This is a perfectly good track. We didn't really start anywhere, and I'm not sure it really ends anywhere. There's hardly any houses about. Yeah, it just seems a bit empty, that's all. Very pretty. Into the lowlands. I've just noticed this amazing looking Ancient farmhouse. What a fascinating place. Another little stream. Tempted to get in again. But we did that just yesterday, so. There it is. It's falling over. Prestatyn, 88.5 miles. Chepstow, 88.5 miles. Congratulations, you're halfway along Offas Dyke Path National Trail. Only 88.5 miles to go. Boom. We are here. Well, reaching this signpost that marks halfway makes an ideal point to wrap up part 1. So far then, I've carried roughly 20 kilos of weight, roughly 90 miles of distance, and it's taken me nearly 5 days. And I'm still moving. Slowly. So if you want to see if I make it over the finish line, tune in for part 2. But that's it for now. Cheers.